Hey everybody, it's me, Dr. G. Last time I talked about the terrifying power of restanding vanguards and how some of them have a pretty hefty price. In the case of Beast DD Ethics Buster Reverse, it has 2, Counterblast 2, Lock 2, and Drop 2 Beast DD cards. That's a pretty hefty price. But what if we have a vanguard that only really needs to Counterblast 2, but it requires you to check a grade 3. That doesn't sound like much, but it's still a pretty hefty price. And it's a big gamble. And now it's time to get to Immortal Asura Kaiser. And just like Ethics Buster Reverse, it requires a deck built around its gimmick. A gimmick I like to call the Etano Circus. But unlike Ethics Buster Reverse, it not only focuses on the vanguard but also on the rear guards as well. It's like a well-oiled machine that requires certain formations for it to work. With that being said, let's see how the deck looks. And here we are. As you can see, I utilize a significant amount of grade 3s just to get Immortal Asura Kaiser's skill to go off. And because of that, I do play around with the grade 1 and grade 2 ratios a little bit. So, let's see how this all turns out. And now, let's start off with the grade 0s. And to start off, we'll start with our starter, Night Jackal. Now, looking through all of the different starters that is available for this deck, in my opinion, Night Jackal is the best one, but the deck even doesn't really need it. If you think about it, it's not really necessary. Night Jackal here, all it does is it becomes an 8k booster when it gets stood back up, which you will get if you use Immortal Asura Kaiser's skill on it. But if you think about it, Asura Kaiser doesn't even need it because it gets a 10k boost by itself. It'll be attacking for 23k when its skill goes off. With Jackal, it'll become 31k, that's fine, but more often than not, you'll be using Immortal Asura Kaiser's restanding skill on another rear guard and not on Night Jackal. Not the best, but it has its uses. And as for triggers, 4 heals, 5 draws, 7 crits. Now, this setup addresses a little bit of problem that the deck has. Because of the fact that Asura Kaiser needs to check those grade 3s, you can't get those grade 3s any other way except by checking it. And that also includes drawing into it from your draw triggers. But you need these draw triggers because you need to set up your field, your samurais and your death armies. So in my opinion, 5 for this deck is a good number. More than the standard 4 and less than the 6, which is usually used for when you need to draw into more of your into your field. And then we have 7 crits. 7 crits is great for this deck because you need all of that crit to finish your opponent off, especially when you have a restanding vanguard and you have like units like the Daredevil Samurais that can get really big when you start getting all of your effects off. And now for the grade 1s. Start off 4 perfect guards. And then we have 2 of your very important units. Death Army Guy at 4 and Bear Down Samurai at 4. Now, as we all know, the Death Army units, Death Army Guy and Death Army Lady, they restand when you check a grade 3. So what essentially does is if you pair a Death Army Guy with Death Army Lady, you have a restanding row, giving you a second attack with that row. Now that's a usual thing. Having another row that attacks is always a good thing, but what it is actually really useful for is when you combo it with your samurai cards. Most importantly, Bear Down Samurai. When Bear Down Samurai sees any of your units get restand, it immediately gets a 3k. So with Death Army Lady and Death Army Guy, it gets it gets 2-3k boost, making it plus 6k. And when you combo that with Asura Kaiser and even Mont Blanc Kluger, this beatdown samurai will be one beastly booster. And if you pair it with Daredevil Samurai, it makes one monstrous lane. And if you start putting some crits on it, well, it's almost practically a done deal. So, in a way, your Bear Down Samurai for this deck is your MVP. And as for the grade 2s, we have the same idea as we have with the grade 1s. 4 Daredevil Samurais and 4 Death Army Ladies. They all combo together, I already explained that. So, let's go with the oddity in this deck, the 2 Golden Anklets. Now the Golden Anklets, just like the Night Jackal, it's really just to be there, just to fill up space. I really couldn't think of anything better than that. I mean, if you think about it, when its skill activates, when it re-stands up, it gets a 3k boost, which if you factor in the amount of times this deck could restand units, it'll probably only activate once. And it'll just be a 15k attacker. That's really not that much, but you know what? It's not that bad of a card, and you can't go wrong with Golden Anklet. And now into the grade 3s. As you can see, my grade 3 lineup consists of 11 grade 3s, which is highly unusual for decks most these days. And that's all because of the boss monster, Immortal Asura Kaiser. Because you need a consistent way for a Immortal Asura Kaiser to get its effect off, you need as many grade 3s as possible. Not enough of a chance to get it off, but not enough to clog up your hand. And Immortal Asura Kaiser's effect itself is actually pretty worthwhile. When it gets a grade 3, 10k, and it stands itself up, and it stands whatever rear guard you want. If you have one lane that's already set up with Death Army Ladies and another lane set up with Samurais, then what you have here is all you gotta do is just stand up its booster behind it and give it like a really big attack going, because it just restands itself up. Or if you want another attacker because you don't have another Death Army attacker to take its place, then to attack for you, then you can just stand one of those ones, and then you can keep going with the whole Eternal Circus. And that's why you're playing all these grades, because you want this effect to go off. It's really worth it when it goes off. And then we go into the other grade 3s. Down here we have 2 Mont Blanc Klugers. Now, when you combo Mont Blanc Kluger with Immortal Asura Kaiser, you have one whole attack series that's so powerful that's even better than Ethics Buster reverses Hellstand. That's why I called it the ultimate Eternal Circus. Just when your vanguard attacks, counterblast 1, stand all your rear guards. And if you combo that with Asura Kaiser, counterblast, restands itself, attack with all of your rear guards, Asura Kaiser, restands itself, and then go through it all over. You got 8 powerful attacks, and with your Daredevil Samurais, these will be 8 really big powerful attacks. It's a great combination. Now, in that respect, I have 4 Asura Kaisers. Now, you would think that because of how powerful the Mont Blanc Kluger with Immortal Asura Kaiser effect is, I would have more copies of Mont Blanc Kluger over Asura Kaiser, but I went with the cross ride bonus over the break ride. Well, just for defensive purposes. I mean, you have 11 grade 3s. You might need that cross ride bonus for extra defense. I mean, you could actually play around with it. If you want it to be more of a break ride deck, then you would have more more Mont Blanc Lugers over Asura Kaisers. So really it's up to preference how you want to do this. But for me, 4 Asura Kaisers for the cross ride bonus. And finally, we have the Lone Death Army Commander. Now, he's really just there as a second Death Army Lady, so you practically have 4 Death Army Ladies. And also, because it's a grade 3, to get a Immortal Asura Kaiser skill to go off. So, you know, it's a card that has its uses in this deck. Cards to consider. Now keep in mind, because of the way my deck works, I can't really replace any of these Samurai or Death Army cards, because that's just the way the deck works. But if we go into the Break Ride version of this deck, then we can change a few things up a bit. So if we say replace 2 of these Asura Kaisers with 2 more Mont Blanc Lugers, you would have a better chance to pull off the ultimate Eternal Circus. You know, that's how you want to do it. Then we gotta change a few things up. First things first is the Night Jackal. Night Jackal in this deck is really kind of there, so we can replace it with something else. We can replace it with your grade 3 Searcher Mirayo. Now Mirayo is great because it can help you search out either your Asura Kaisers or the Mont Blanc Lugers in order to do the ultimate Eternal Circus. However, it requires 1 counterblast. It's a counterblast too many when you're trying to do the ultimate Eternal Circus, because Mont Blanc Luger needs 1, Asura Kaiser needs 2, and for the second, then because Asura Kaiser stands again, it needs 1 more. So you need 4 counterblasts to pull this whole combo off. And Mirayo just took 1 of your counterblasts away from you, so you can't do the whole complete attack pattern. So you would need damage on flippers, like say the Red Lightning. But we can start replacing some of these other cards for more damage on flippers, because the way my deck is set up, it's set up with the cross ride bonus in mind, because I want more defense, and because of the focus on the cross ride, I need more Death Armies to compensate for the lack of the finishing power of the Mont Blanc Lugers. But since we're going for the Mont Blanc Luger, we can start taking out some of these Death Army units. In fact, the Samurais are more important for the Mont Blanc Luger than they are for the Asura Kaiser version. Anyway, so we can replace a maximum of, say, 2 cards from the Death Army Grade 1 version, Death Army Guy, and replace them with 2 Clay Doll Mechanics to just unflip some damage when you need it. And for Grade 2s, we can replace the Golden Anklets, because that's not really necessary for the Mont Blanc Luger. So we can replace 2 Golden Anklets with, say, Hungry Dumpty. Or if you don't really need Death Army Ladies as much for the Mont Blanc Luger build, so you could replace, say, 1 Death Army Lady for a second Hungry Dumpty. Just get that damage and flip right away. One other card I can suggest is Life Force Storm. Life Force Storm requires you to hit their vanguard, but if you think about it, if you have a Samurai right behind your Life Force Storm, then you have a better chance of getting that counterblast unflipped. And especially if you have your Mont Blanc Luger and Immortal Asura Kaiser restanding your vanguards, making your Samurai bigger, making your Life Force Storm bigger, and have a better chance of unflipping damage. And now I will demonstrate to you how the Eternal Circus works. So I've set up a field here. We have 1 row made up especially of Death Army units, and another row of Samurai units. Now the Samurai units, you don't actually have to have the Daredevil Samurai. You could probably have anything over there. Maybe another grade 2 or grade 3. But the most important part is the Bear Down Samurai. because that one can still make your attackers giving your attackers an incredible boost. But you know what? Daredevil Samurai is overkill, and that'll be great. So, how do we attack? First things first, attack with the Death Army row first. Attack either the vanguard or the rear guard, your choice. Then, attack with Asura Kaiser. Now let's see what we get. Critical. So I'm anticipating a grade 3. Now if you're noticing this, I'm trying to anticipate a grade 3, because without me checking a grade 3, then I can't get his effect off. So I'm anticipating that I'll get one. So trigger, I'm gonna give it to my Daredevil roll, because I'm anticipating that if I get a grade 3, I'll stand my units and I'll power these guys up. So let's see what my next check is. Grade 3. So then this is how it all goes. Stand up your Death Army units, activate your Vanguard skill, counterblast 2, toss 2, he stands up, he gets 10,000, and then he stands up another unit. So since we have nothing else that's resting except the Vanguard booster, we put him up. And then it's 8, so it'll be attacking for 31. So you can attack with your row here, or you can attack with your Vanguard first. Let's see what we get. Well, I attack with the Death Army first, because in case I get another grade 3 off, and I can restand these guys again. So, oh, another trigger. So I put one trigger here already, so I'll give it another one to make it even bigger. And okay, there you go. So I'm not gonna do the math because it's gonna be a little bit hard, but this is a really big row with two criticals. So that's basically what we're trying to get here. And now we're gonna get into the ultimate Etano Circus. The field setup should look a little bit something like this. Now, because we're anticipating a lot of restanding, it would be great to have bear down samurais here, and if possible, Daredevil samurais for your other row. Now, you don't really need these Daredevil samurais here. You could probably have like any other attackers in there, as long as you have your bear down samurais down here as your rear guard boosters. But having the Daredevil samurais there is overkill, and that's just to make sure that you actually will win the game. So let's get to it. First things first, break ride onto your Mont Blanc Kruger with your Asura Kaiser, right? Then what do we do? First, you attack with one row first. Now, you'll probably be wanting to attack the Vanguard, and they might not take it, or they will take it. If they take it, hoping to get a trigger off of you to help you block better, well, let me tell you, it's not going to help them, because if your Asura Kaiser's effect goes off without a hitch, these guys will restand and get major power. So, attack with the other row, your Vanguard or rear guard, your choice. Then we attack with Asura Kaiser. And you use your Mont Blanc Kruger skill, counterblast 1, stand all your rear guards. And at that moment, your bear down samurais and your Daredevil samurais or whatever gets all their powers. Plus 5 times 3, 5, 10, 15. 15 here, 15k, 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 15k. And this guy gets 8k. That's a lot of power. And if we get a crit here, it's gonna be even better. So let's see what we get. Crit. All right. Let's allocate that one to this row here of Daredevil samurais. Next, grade 3. So then we activate our Asura Kaiser skill. Counterblast 2. Toss 2 cards. And stand them up. And since everybody's already standing, you don't really have to do anything about that. So as you can see, 3 counterblasts already. So, attack with these, big numbers. Attack with this, big numbers, but with an extra critical. Your choice which one attacks first. Then, Kaiser goes in again. You can't restand them anymore, but you can still restand all of your rear guards. Stand them up. Let's see what we get. Critical. Oh, what do you know? So we give this one now the critical, because this one still has its extra critical. and this one now has an extra critical and another 5k, plus another 15k for restanding again. So that's like 30k here, 30k here, 30k here, 30k here. Big numbers. Next. Okay, there you go. Then go in for the kill. The ultimate Itano Circus. And now I will demonstrate to you guys an alternate version of the ultimate Itano Circus. And for that, you need a whole row of Death Army units. Death Army here, Death Army here. So let's see if we can pull it off. Attack for 17 on your vanguard, the rear guards. 16. Then Asura Kaisers. Let's see what we get. Trigger? Well, I'm anticipating a grade 3, so I'll put it to this row right here. What do you know? Grade 3. So all of your units stands back up. Then activate your Asura Kaiser skill. Counterblast 2, drop 2, stand up, and stand this guy up. Ready to attack again. So 17, 21. Attack with the Immortal Asura Kaiser again. Let's see if we're lucky enough to get another grade 3. Oh, what do you know? Another grade 3. So we stand right back up. Anything else? A critical. So we give that on to this row. So this one will be 21. This one will be 22. So 22 with an extra crit. 21 with an extra crit. Really? All depends if you're anticipating another grade 3. You just gotta believe that you have a grade 3 coming. So whenever you make your attacks, you gotta think that there's another grade 3 coming. Whether you fail to get it or not doesn't matter. Because if you're thinking about it, then your opponent will also be thinking about it, and they'll try to block accordingly. And really, because it's a big gamble, they're likely to make mistakes. But you can capitalize on that. So, Immortal Asura Kaiser. It's not the most consistent restanding vanguard, but when this effect manages to go off and you have your field set up right, you can potentially finish off your opponent on that one turn. It's unpredictably powerful. This is Dr. G signing out.